when you're creating a style, a pattern style, a design, if you're going to do flat pattern cutting, which this is, you need to start with a block. Okay, so I've got a size 10 block here that we created for the standard sizes of a size 10. It's a woman's pattern. And basically, if we made this style up, it'd be a very plain dress that would perfectly fit the contours of a size 10 who was a standard size 10. Now, I know everyone's not a standard size, and I will be doing a later video to show you how that you can alter this block if your measurements are sort of basically a size 10, but there's parts of it that are size 14. You know, we can show you how to do that. But at the moment, we're just going to use this. And we're going to start off by drawing around this block. So when we made these blocks, we actually reuse them all the time. So we have put them onto a manila card, and that means we can reuse them and reuse them. So I'm going to start off with my pencil, just going around, marking in these little notches here. They're really important. These are when you're sewing your corresponding pieces of fabric together, or your pattern pieces together, these notches are like a little mark. They're like a little guide really to show you that you're putting them together right. Okay, so all the way around, notch here on the sleeve hole, the top of the darts, right round, and there's a balance line that goes right through the pattern and through the darts, and I've got that marked here. Now I've got little holes in this, so I'm just going to put my pen through and mark where the darts are, or the ends of the darts, the dart points. These are the dart legs and these are the dart points. Okay, now this is a grain line, but you can see that's running parallel to the front of the bodice front, so that's okay. I'm just going to get the grain line off the parallel line that's running through the centre front. Incidentally, this piece of pattern is the bodice front. This piece is the bodice back, or the dress back, and this is a sleeve. Okay, so I made that all up now, so I'm going to just take a ruler. I'm going to mark in my waistline through these two little notches, my hip line, and then I'm going to join up these dots to make the darts. If you can see this on the video, maybe I'll press a bit harder. There we go. And there we go here. And there. Now these darts aren't, you know, you very rarely have a dress like this. So basically these are working darts. These are meant to be slashed and moved somewhere else, either converted into another dart or into tucks or into pleats or into gathers. I'm just going to put this line through here, because as many guidelines as we can have, the better. Okay, and up to the top of this dart. So that sort of, this line represents the middle of the dart. Okay, so we've got our waistline, our hip line, this is our bust, our neck and our armhole. We've got our little notches all marked, our little balance marked notches. Okay, so we're going to do that for all of them, and I'll be back in a sec. So now you can see I've drawn around all my pieces. What was I going to say about this? Oh yeah, this block that I'm using here is for a fitted block. It's a woven block. So if you were working with fabrics that were stretchy, you probably wouldn't use this block that had so many darts in. Okay, so if you want to, especially if you're working with a lot of yarn, put your name on it and just what it is. That's your back block, front block, sleeve block, and that's about all the information we need on that now. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. Okay. We have our pattern block here cut out, a copy of the pattern block. I've sliced it in half at the waistline because the dresses that we're going to make have all got waistlines in. They're not straight down like a princess dress. They've all got like a seam at the waist. So that'll make it a little bit more straightforward for us to go ahead and manipulate our darts. So this is the bodice front. I've just marked that quickly. It's got a dart in the from the shoulder seam to the bust, and a dart going through to the bust and then right down to the hip. And I've marked the bottom front skirt. This is the back. It's got a little dart in the shoulder seam and a dart going from the back to the waist and one from the waist to the hips. And I marked that back skirt. I'm going to just put them to one side for a moment because we're going to concentrate on just starting with the bodice block. So I'll put the back away as well. This is the sleeve here. So I've marked the notches in the sleeve and the sleeve head. This is going to really help us when we're inserting the sleeve into the sleeve hole, into the armhole, because the armhole and the sleeve will have corresponding notches, and that'll help you get the balance of the sleeve correctly into the armhole. This also has like a little dart in the elbow, but that doesn't stay there, but basically that can be transferred into the sleeve itself to give it that nice 3D shape that a sleeve has. At this stage, it's probably good to mention that most of this pattern is for woven fabric, so it's not, you know, we've also got a block that is for a stretch fabric which hasn't got as many darts in, or we call this suppression. Sorry, this has got a little. So here's our bodice top here, and I'm just showing you where you can put the position of the darts in the bodice. You could have a dart running from the corner of the waist right through pencil to the bust point. This is the apex of the bust. You could have a dart running through from the armhole to the apex. You can have a dart running to the collar line, the neckline, and you could have a dart running to the centre of the dress. So let me show you how. These are our working darts, okay? So let's show you how you can slash them and transfer them to another part of the pattern. So for this, you're going to need to have okay, so we need to have some sellotape and a pair of scissors. The first thing I'm going to do is close this shoulder dart up. Okay, so I'm going to just cut along to the apex. We'll just leave a tiny little just before the apex. And first of all, I think I'm going to make a French dart which goes from the waistline, the side seam waist, to the apex of the bust. It's quite a stylish little dart, and I'm not going to go, but I'm just going to leave a little bit of fabric there, a little bit of the paper. Okay, I'm going to close that dart up just by I'm going to just sellotape those two legs together, and you see we've opened up this dart here. Well, we've still got this here, so I think it'd be good to actually slash this and transfer it all into the side seam. to make a French dart. So here we go. Let's see, that sort of curved that waistline a little bit, which is fine. Okay. So there's your 2 darts transferred from the shoulder to the apex, from the waistline into the side waist. Okay, now obviously that's not the only thing you have to do. You can go and change your neckline. So we're using this thing called a French curve. So I think we'll have our neckline. This is a half size pattern, by the way. So we'll have it 8 centimeters down, so I'm just going to mark it 4 centimeters on this. And then I'm going to use a nice part of my French curve. It's got to be pretty straight there, just to mark that in. Okay, and then we can cut that. Rounded neck. Okay, so there's a pattern for sort of like almost like a V-neck there, isn't it? And a French curve, and when that's on your model, that's how it will look. Okay, so that's just one example of how you can actually change your pattern. Once you've done all that, you need to get some more paper. So when you're happy with your pattern the way it is, you're going to sellotape it, or probably stick it onto another piece of paper, and we're going to put some information on it now, because this will be your finalised pattern. Okay, so basically you need to put your name on it in case you lose it, or the name of the pattern, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to say Anita. The size, this is a 10. Now if you've got, you might have 5 pattern pieces all together, you might have 6, so say this is 1 out of 6 pattern pieces, and you need to say what it is. Okay, so it is our centre, it is our front. And how many of them do you need to cut? You need to cut 1 on the fold, because this is the front of the centre front. And that's going to be folded to the fold of the fabric, because we don't want a seam on this. Cut on fold. You need to make sure your notches are all in. Yeah. Okay, that's about it for the... Oh, sorry, we need to mark another dart line. So the apex of the dart, we need to come down 1.5 centimetres. So that's going to be 75 on this, going to be much less. Yeah, okay. So let's extrapolate these lines. And here. Okay, just to get the centre of our dart. And we're going to come down, well, on your pattern it'll be 1.5 centimetres. So I'm just going to guess that. And that's going to be the new dart, which I'm going to put in. Okay, so we're just going to leave that like that for now. That's okay. We're going to have to do something to this dart to shape it, because when the dart's in, it's either got to fold up or fold into the waistline or into the side seam. So we'll do that after we've added seam allowance, which is the next thing we're going to do. So we're going to use a grader, and when you get into the class we're going to show you how to use this properly. That's going to be your first exercise. But I'm just going to use this to add some seam allowances now. Now these are probably look a bit big for you because on this model, because obviously this is a half size pattern, so they look a bit big, but I'm just going to go ahead and put them on. Oh, you can always write on your write on it seam allowance as well, 1 centimetre. I know I'm not doing this very neatly at the moment, but when you're doing it, you've got loads of time to be neat and make it something that looks really nice. Okay, let's see my seam allowances. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead with this and then I'm going to cut it out and show you the next bit. Okay, so we've got it all cut out now with all our seam allowances in it. We've got the name of the pattern. It's a size 10. Right. It's 1 pattern piece out of 6. It's the front. Cut it on the fold. Oh, there's one more thing we've forgotten to put in, and that's the grain line. Now, as I mentioned before, the grain line is just going to run parallel to the front seam, but we'll put this in anyway because it's supposed to always have a grain line in your patterns. I'm just going to put SG on that for straight grain. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is shape this dart so that when it's actually sewn in, you're going to have it shaped just the correct way to tuck into your seams. So what I'm going to do is just fold that along the centre line. And I think I'm going to have this dart in the waistline. So I'm going to fold that down like that. And I am going to trim that off. So we've got this shape going on here now. So that when that dart's sewn up, that seam allowance all just folds neatly into that waistline. Okay. You don't always have to have it in the waistline, it could have been in the side seam as well. So there you go, that's just like a little head start of the sort of thing that we're going to be doing on Saturday, and I hope it helps. Okay.